Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, you guys asked for this one, so here it is. We're going to be taking a shot that looks like this and turning it into a shot that looks like this. This video is sponsored by Storyblocks. If you're ever in need of some royalty-free stock footage, motion backgrounds, After Effects templates, or overlays, then go to storyblocks.com/DanielSchiffer to learn more. So first and foremost, let's actually go over how I got this shot in the first place. I started off by giving the drink can a good spray with some water. This gives it a cold look. And then with the drink can on a motorized turntable, I had it slowly spin around as I revealed the label by turning the key light. Now, when I originally got this shot, I shot it on the same light blue background that I used for the entire commercial. My original intention was just to use the shot as is, and the idea for this effect didn't come into fruition until I got into the editing process. That said, if you have a blue screen or a green screen, using that will make this effect a little bit easier. So if you know you want to get a shot like this, doing that in advance is always helpful. Now, before we get into editing, you are going to need one more shot, and that is a clean plate of just your background with nothing else in front of it. Every time I film a product video, no matter what, the first thing I do is always grab a clean plate of just the background, because you never know when it can come in handy. And now with all of that out of the way, we can go ahead and dive into our editing process. All right, so here we are in Final Cut Pro 10. You can see our clip is a little bit longer than we need, so we're going to cut it down to the right size. So what we're going to do now is click and hold Option on the keyboard. I'm going to click and drag up on our clip, and this creates a duplicate directly above our clip. I'll go ahead into our effects panel here, and I'm going to search for flipped. And I'm going to click and drag our flipped effect onto the top clip. And you can see our label is now backwards, which isn't what we want. So we're actually going to go into here and click on both for our direction. And now we have an upside down can. Next, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag to highlight both of our clips. I'm going to go into our scale here and type in 50%. And next I'll go up to view and turn on our horizon. And this gives us a nice guide to work with. Now, making sure that the top clip is selected, I'm going to start to move it up using our Y position. I want it so that our can is just over this line here with a little bit of space. I think 440 looks pretty good. And now I'll select the bottom clip and go to our Y position and change that to negative 440. You can see that there's a bit of overlap here with our background. So what I'm going to do is click on our top clip and go to our crop section. And with the bottom crop, I can start dragging up until it meets that horizon line. And I think that looks pretty good at 204. Now I'm noticing that our cans aren't totally centered, so I'm going to go ahead and use our X position on the top clip here to make sure that that's aligned. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to do it on the bottom clip as well. And to me, that's looking a lot better. I'm going to go back up to view here and turn off our horizon for now so we can see a little bit better. And now, making sure both our clips are selected, I'm going to right click and create our first compound clip. You can name this whatever you want. To keep it simple, I'm just going to call it doubled and click OK. So what compounding the clip does is it takes our two layers and flattens it into one layer. The cool thing about compound clips is that I can actually double click on it to go back inside the compound clip and edit these layers individually. But for an effect like this, it's especially helpful to have one nice clean layer that you can make adjustments to rather than adjusting each clip individually. You can see that if I turn on my transforms, I can start moving everything around, and it's one single clip rather than two individual clips. Now, the next step in the process before we start keying out the background is to give it a quick color grade. It's important to color grade now because this will create more contrast and separation between our blue background and the can, and this makes it much easier to remove our background. So I'm going to use Color Finale here in my effects and drag it on. You can color grade with whatever you want. Do this in any editing software. It doesn't matter. I'm going to open my layers and open a new LUT. I'm going to use the basic LUT from my Vintage Look 2 LUT pack and turn it on. Create a color wheels layer, turn up the highlights, turn down the shadows, bump up the mids, new curves layer, create some contrast. It's looking a little bit warm, so I'm just going to cool it down a little bit in the highlights. And I'm just going to bump up the saturation a little bit as well. So this is what our original footage looks like before we make any tweaks. And then once we turn on our grade, this is what it looks like. So the next step here is to go back into our effects panel and take the keyer and click and drag that onto our footage. You can see that does a decent job of removing that blue background, but you could still see a little bit of, I don't know what to call that, but some banding and some color going on in there. So we're going to take the sample color box here and we're going to drag along here to make sure that that is removed. And I think that is pretty good. You've got some options here in the keyer window like fill holes. You could turn that up to fix the rim of the can a little bit. You can play around with the light wrap, turn it up to about 24%. Now that we've keyed out our cans, we're going to go ahead and create another compound clip by right clicking and selecting new compound clip. I'm going to name this keyed and hit OK. And that's looking pretty good, but I'm noticing the edges are a little bit rough. So I'm actually going to double click to go back in and make a minor tweak on our keyer. In matte tools, I just want to turn up soften a tiny bit to smooth it out. And that's looking a lot more smooth around the edges of the can, but you'll notice we have this weird kind of prominent line around the frames of our clips, but it's easy to fix. We're just going to go to our effects panel again and search for shape mask. Click and drag that on and adjust the shape so that we're cutting out that weird sort of glowing frame. And now that is looking much better. So we can back out here, clicking this arrow to go to our main compound clip. And now for the fun part, we can start animating this. I'm gonna take the playhead and move it to the start of the clip, making sure the clip is selected. Go up here and play with the rotation. I like how 16 degrees looks, so I'm gonna create a keyframe, move the playhead to the end on our last frame, and I'm gonna type -16 degrees. Now we have a nice fun rotation that looks like this. That's pretty cool. Let's go back to the start of the clip and select it again and start zooming in so that our cans are no longer cut off. Right there at 138 looks good. And I want to zoom in by 20%. So we're going to go to the end here and we're essentially going from 138 to 158. And once we play that back, you can see that there's now this cool rotation zoom effect. Now remember earlier when I told you it's important to get a clean plate? This is why. We're gonna go into our browser here and grab that clean plate and we're going to click and drag it underneath our footage. Cut it down to size, delete the excess, remove the volume, and you'll notice that our background is a little bit dark and looks a little bit funny, and that is because we haven't color graded it yet to match the color grade of the cans. So what we're gonna do is select and double click the compound clip of our cans, click on it, you'll see that this is where our color grade is. We're gonna hit Command C on the keyboard to copy, then we're gonna back out here with this arrow, click on our background, go up to edit, paste attributes, and make sure we're only selecting our color grade and nothing else. Hit paste, and there it is. You can see that it's actually brightened up the background and it matches a little bit. I think it's actually a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna bring down the exposure just a touch, and that looks a lot better. Now, as is, the clip is all right. It's definitely nothing special, but we can really spice this up and take it to the next level by using stock footage. Now, Storyblocks is definitely my favorite resource to get stock footage, motion backgrounds, overlays, and all we have to do on the Storyblocks website is go up here to the search bar and type in fire, and this brings up a ton of fun options to choose from. I like this kind of bonfire embers looking one, so I'm going to click download and make sure that we're getting it in the highest quality. Scrolling down a bit more and we have this fire ring here. That looks awesome, so I'm going to click and download that as well. Now the coolest part about Storyblocks is when you have the unlimited all access plan, you actually get unlimited access to all this stock footage and however you use it. YouTube videos, personal projects, client work, doesn't matter. You can use all this stuff as much as you want, and it's all included in the membership. Need a drone shot of the city for your real estate client? No problem. How about footage of a farm for some reason? They've got that too. If you're somebody who makes videos at all for any reason, then do yourself a favor and go to storyblocks.com/Daniel Schiffer to learn more. I'm telling you, having the unlimited subscription has changed the way I make videos, and it's going to change the way you make videos too, so make sure you go to the link down below. All right, back into Final Cut now, and you can see we have our two pieces of stock footage in the timeline here. We're going to start by clicking and dragging our fire ring layer and bringing it in between our other two layers here, cutting it down to size using the blade tool. And already that looks pretty cool, but the fire ring is a little bit small. So what I'm going to do is add a zoom in effect. I'll bring this up to about 140%, making sure to create a keyframe. And then at the end of the clip, I'll scale it up to 175. Next, we're going to take this kind of bonfire ember thing and we're going to drag it below the fire ring, cut it down to size. You can see our background is completely dark now. So what we're actually going to do is go to our blend mode and change that to add. I'm also going to add a flipped effect because I don't want the embers coming from the right side. I actually want them coming from this left side here. And I'm going to adjust the transforms and reposition to make the embers just a little bit bigger. And finally, I'll turn the opacity down to about 80%. And that, my friends, is how you create this effect. Here is the clip we started with. And here is what we just made. Now to take this an entire step further for the final sequence, I've also added a film burn overlay for the transition between our previous shot and the effect we just created. And in addition to that, we add a whole bunch of fiery sound effects that go along with the spicy theme of the video. But that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it or found it helpful. If you did, then make sure you hit it with a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at daniel.schiffer. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.